wasn't going to talk about this. I do mention it on my blog sometimes. How interesting, though. I don't know where to start. I don't figure out my speeches or whatever I'm going to tell people ahead of time. I just talk all over the place. So anyway, let me back up a little bit. About 40 years ago, I went to a church when I was living with my stepmother and my father. And there was a guy, a very mysterious, short little guy, slender, maybe 5'5", 5.5 tall. And I remember he had dark hair, and he spoke with a slight, either Boston accent, Massachusetts or something, I don't know. He came and he told us that he was a retired CIA agent. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he told us. And he went into talking about what's going to happen right around the time we're living in now, about 40 or something years later. Now it's been a little bit longer than that, but I always knew it in my heart that this is going to happen about 40 years later. So I'm 10 years off, but that's okay. What he talked about was the mark of the beast, which is mentioned in the book of Revelations in the Bible, which is also known as the apocalyptic book. And if you go to chapter 20, I want to say verse 4, somewhere in there, just read book of Revelations. It's not a long book, but it talks about the end of days. And 40 years ago, he was talking about what's going to happen with the Antichrist and the tool he's going to use. And that's going to be, everything's going to be digital. Now, first of all, back in 1995, I had my big, ugly, those big, monstrous personal desk computers. Now they're all little laptops, which are nice. Even your phone you can use. So I knew it was coming. And it's a great thing, right? I mean, I remember the olden days. I'm not that old, but it was rough. Everything had to do the hard way, the long way. Now everything's digital, so it's been cool. But it has its holes. There's been crime that can be committed with that. And it's becoming more convenient, too, all the time, which is now. So anyway, I just watched a video. I'm going to post it on when I get a chance, I'm going to put it on my YouTube post page. Or I'll just save the video somewhere on top. I don't know. You'll have to look for it. But anyway, they just showed that something happened to a few people already, where they talk about skimmers that go around and, they know how to intercept and overcome that whole digital thing when you're checking out. Let's put it that way. You put your debit card in the ATM, blah, blah, blah. I'll let you watch the video. But these scammers are getting really savvy. And one woman had $40,000 taken out of her account. And there's ways you can prevent this, but they're alerting everyone now. And I'll put the link to the guy's video. I'll post his video on my post page. It made me think about back in 1978, I think it was, when I was putting two and two together in my head, reading scriptures, how would this happen? I knew it had to be some kind of computer system. And now here we are in the big computer digital age. So voila, here we are. But anyway, this CIA agent, ex-former one, he said, he is a traveling preacher now. He found God, he became saved, and he started traveling around. He was a short little guy. And I remember he just went by, the last name was Small. I believe it was a fictitious name, Small. He was small in stature, but I think it was just a phony name he used because he used to work for the CIA. And he was going around warning people about this, and that there's going to be, under the Antichrist, will become the New World Order. We've heard President Trump mention the New World Order. I think England has already. They've already been planning this. And what it's going to be is there's going to be no cash anymore, no coins, no green dollars, nothing, no greenbacks, anything. It's all going to be digital money, which is pretty much how we pay for things now, right? Debit card, credit card, whatever. And so, yeah, they've already got these skimmers that go around skimming all this. Hopefully you've got an RFID chip protection, credit card holder. But anyway, they know how to put a phony thing on top of it. You have to watch the video. I'm not going to explain all that. But yeah, they're stealing money from people, big money. And this is going to be a problem. I always knew, as much as I love computers, 40 some odd years ago, I knew that it was going to come and bite us in the ass, so to speak. Eventually it would. And that's where we are today. And the next thing down the road, it could take 10 or 20 years. I hope so. I don't want to die yet. But it does say that in the end of days, in the book of Revelations and scriptures, that those who don't take the mark, and the mark's going to be a chip, it's going to be a digital chip, which holds your wallet information, your banking information, everything. That's how you're going to pay everything. And you're going to have this chip, the Bible says they'll take it either in the hand or the forehead. And there were two computer yuppies back in 2012, and I can't find that video now. They actually tested it out. They put a microchip under their hands with all their wallet information in it, medical information in it. Anyway, they showed how they could go through a cash register and scan their hand and pay for their bill. And nobody's going to cut off somebody's hand or arm in the store, right? Or their head if it's chips in their forehead. That's a gory, heinous crime, right? They're not going to do that. So this is brilliant. This is a brilliant Antichrist tool that's going to be used in the last days. Unfortunately, those who don't take it, and that's going to be a number of Christians around the world, the Bible says if you take it, you're going to be damned to hell because it's going to be used by the Antichrist. And it's going to be sinful to take it. And it even says in chapter 20 of book of Revelations, I don't memorize scriptures, I just know everything in it. I think it's in chapter 20, verse 4. Those who do not take the mark of the beast, meaning this chip, will not be able to buy or sell. So they'll starve to death. They won't be able to pay any bills. And then it says they will be, beheaded for the testimony of their faith. Okay, this is, I don't know, the Antichrist might already be in the world. We don't know who it's going to be. But the system of the beast is here. And it's interesting because I said, like, the CIA agent, ex-CIA agent said, he calls himself Pastor Small, he said there was a big building somewhere in Brussels, Belgium, that was called the Beast. And it housed all those big IBM computers and stuff, not personal computers, just those big giant ones. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Interesting. So I also believe the Antichrist is going to come out of England. I do. I don't know why I feel that. Time will tell. I don't know. I just feel it will. And so all you believers out there, stay strong, stay brave. It's scary as heck, okay? It really is. And don't lose your faith, no matter what. But I've said this over and over again for the last few years to people. I'm not a seer. I'm not a psychic. I'm just a reader of scriptures, and I know what things are planted in my heart and my mind through prayer, and I could be wrong. But I believe we're living in the beginning of the end of days before Yeshua, Jesus, comes back. I really do. But we're going to have a final test of our faith, and it's going to be a hard one. And I think a lot of people are going to fall away from the faith out of fear. And I pray that doesn't happen. I'm fearful. I hope I don't do it either. I don't think I will, though. But yeah, I'm just letting everyone know. And Jesus said all this stuff, 2,000 plus years ago. The Son of God knew all this. So I'm just letting everyone know. I'm going to try to find that video where they were just showing about how this woman got $40,000 out of her bank account by these criminals. And that's another thing I mentioned. He said the banks can't do anything. I could be wrong. You can correct me in comment section if I'm wrong. Not all banks are FICA, F-I-C-A, insured. I make sure I'm always with a FICA bank because it depends on what their contract says. But most of them say that if you lose money out of the bank, they'll cover up to $250,000. Okay, now I don't have that kind of money. So, if this woman supposedly lost $40,000, if she hears this video, I doubt she will because I'm a nobody online, just make sure it's FICA insured because most FICA insured are supposed to, guarantee payment of loss up to $250,000. Now, she lost 40, so I would think the bank has to cover that. Yeah, I do. And that's another thing they mentioned in this video that I'll share the link to later. I don't know about people. When you bank, you shouldn't bank at ATMs on the outside of the bank. It's best to do everything inside the bank. And they mentioned that in the video too. That's just kind of common sense. I know some people, the weekends, the banks are closed, a lot of them, so you can't do that and you need money. But yeah, they talk about how these guys are doing it, these people who are doing it. They're using skimmers. They'll explain what skimmers are walking around and how they're removing they're putting a phony plate over the plate that you type in all your information, when you're checking out. So watch it. It's pretty scary stuff. And incidentally, like I said, I think I heard President Trump. I don't want to insult the guy. I don't know the guy personally. I don't like, hate, or love him, okay? But he mentioned the New World Order before. People in Europe have. I don't know why I feel it's going to start with England, though. The old England. I just feel like the Antichrist is going to come from that. I do. I don't know why. I could be wrong. But prepare your hearts and souls right now, everyone. Enjoy your life right now and do the best you can. But I've always said, even as a youngster, I remember feeling in my gut that it would be in about 40 years, maybe 45 years later, that we will see the mark of the beast and almost the coming of the Antichrist. So it's going to be hell on earth for believers. Just pray, that God will keep you strong through it all, Sometimes I worry I don't have enough courage, I might cop out at the last minute. God, I hope not. All this is happening, though. I'm so glad to be alive. I share this story with other people. I was in a coma last, was it? I went into the hospital, I believe it was November 2021, November 5th. Yeah, I had colon issues, ruptured, became septic, was in a coma for several months, clinically died twice, they said. Not biologically, thank God, because you cannot revive biological death. I know, I'm a retired RN. And yeah, I died already. And I'm thinking, since I got out of the hospital, my life has been hell. I'm not going to get into all of it. My personal life is completely effed up. Everything's effed up. I lost everything just about. I've had things stolen. I'm not going to get into all of it. And my life is just screwed up. So I stay like a hermit all the time. I just avoid everyone because, I don't know, it's humiliating. But the point I'm making is, I think to myself, I'm so grateful to be alive. All the doctors, the best surgeons I had, they said I'm a miracle. I reminded them, though, that God, I believe, works through the hands of surgeons. And I truly believe that. But yeah, I sit there and I think, I'm so glad to be alive. But what the heck am I living for now? My life is completely, I'm not even going to get into it. I have been stabbed in the back. I have had so many bad things happen to me. And I've lost so much. And, my life is a disaster. I just keep to myself. I have a couple friends, neighbors and stuff. And we share things. But I just hide from people because I don't want to explain my messed up life. I don't want them to see my messed up life. But other than that, I'm fine. I full healing, everything, I'm just doing great. They did have to take a lot out of my gut, though. So I have to be careful not to eat too much food or whatever. But, I'm just grateful. But I wonder, why didn't God just take me? Why did he? And I'm glad he didn't, though, because I had my little dog. And people that loved him took care of him, but they didn't know what to do for him. All the things I had to do for him. He was an elder dog. And I'm grateful I got him back. And I had to beef him up in weight because he lost too much weight and he was really sad. And I got to keep him after the hospital another 3 years before he passed away. And I really miss my little buddy, my little Mickey. But otherwise, I think, well, why did you? My husband died in a few years back and lost everything. I just, it was crazy. And then I die myself clinically. And I'm thinking, why did God bring me back? I didn't know what hit me. I remember having weird dreams in a coma. They say you don't dream in a coma. I did. They were actually funny ones, some of them. None of them scary. I'm thinking I was already almost gone. Why, I was ready. I was ready for Jesus to come get me, And now I got to live this nightmare on earth that's going to come. Yeah, it's coming, people. I know the Christians out there know what I'm talking about, okay? Everyone else is going to poo-poo you. And most people, probably even many Christians, are going to be afraid. And they're going to accept the mark. Or they won't be able to buy or sell. A lot of people have kids, babies they got to feed, take care of, animals, everything. So anyone who doesn't, take the mark, they're going to be beheaded for the testimony of their faith. I only know one religion that does that kind of killing. I'm not going to exclude it to them, though. I think Satan's going to have his own, too, his own means. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. I'm going to try to find that video. You got to listen to this video, this guy, and start studying the Bible, especially, the apocalyptic Bible, the book of Revelations. And I hope we got another 20 years before it happens. I really do. Because I've had a hellish last decade or more, very hellish. And oh my gosh, I can't get into it. And I would like to have some happiness, but I might not be able to. I'll be the first one. I'll just muster up enough strength and, well, they're going to have to whack me as an antichrist, I don't know. So it's pretty scary. Get close to God. If you don't believe in God, start believing, because everything he foretold over 2,000 years ago is coming to fruition. Okay. Some people say, yeah, but that's because people read it and they try to mimic things to happen, to pretend it was God, like Jesus was correct. No, he was correct, okay? I truly believe that. If you don't believe that, then, you're not really saved. He was the Son of God. And there were scribes, Israel has scribes. And even back, couple thousand years ago, they wrote down everything from what I understand. I've studied Judaism. I try to study other religions and see what they believe. And no, they recorded everything, those scribes. And that included all the miracles that Jesus, performed. Feeding 500 people, was it, or whatever, with 2 fish or whatever, multiplying the fish, etc., etc. So, they might not admit it, but they have things they wrote down thousands of years ago. And so does the Catholic Church, by the way, they claim to have 60,000 records from 2,000 years ago. I don't know if I heard that right, read it right, or what. But yeah, they keep everything archived in some secret place in the Vatican. So that's all I'm going to say. So, yeah. Just when you think that you're starting to crawl out of a hole, then all this stuff's going to be laid on us. And I don't think it's too far away. I really don't. That's all I'm going to say. I don't preach to people much because you get nowhere doing it. And people really have to believe out of their own will to. You can't force feed anyone anything. So it's up to every person what they want to believe in, really. And I believe in Jesus Christ, and I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of saying that. I love Jesus. I know he was real, and I've had a lot of miracles from him throughout my lifetime that I know. I could write a book about it, but nah, I'm not going to write a book. I just tell people about him. So, yeah, I had a lot of close calls in my life, even since I was a child. So, I don't know. God's always been there for me, and he saved my life in the hospital. For some reason, he could have taken me peacefully. I wouldn't have felt any pain or nothing. I just would have went. But I'm glad I came back from my little Mickey dog, and God must have a mission for me. Maybe it's just to tell people. But I know there's preachers out there telling you all this. And those who laugh in the face of God, for somebody they can't disprove or disprove in their belief system, why would you even try to say that you know best? And Jesus doesn't want to prove himself to anybody. We're supposed to believe in him on sheer faith. Those are the souls that get saved by sheer faith. He already came in human form to prove who he was back then, and for those stories to carry through the centuries, to the future generations. He already did that. He doesn't have to prove anything now. You either believe in faith or you don't. And I respect everybody's belief system to have that belief system. I respect other religious belief interpretations, but I know which one I'm sticking with to the very end. So that's all I want to say. I will find that video now and post it somewhere on my post page with the link. Listen to what this guy's got to say, what's going on now that they say the banks can't help prevent. It might be true, might not. I don't know. Bye.